Challenge. This was the scene in Salisbury last night. The skills competition, three-point showcase. Cam Watts of Boys Latin won the three-point competition after finishing the day earlier with a triple-double. And how about this? Big throwdown from Jalen McCreary. He would go to the finals against the guy we saw earlier in Bryson Goodline. And ultimately, it was McCreary who would take home the crown, your dunk champion in the 2018 Governor's Challenge. That set the stage for today and our final game here on the NFHS Network. Thanks for being with us all tournament long. It's been a fun one. Alongside Brandon Green, I'm Matt President as we welcome you above the court here at the Wycomico Youth and Civic Center. Final game here tonight, a rematch from a year ago. It was not played here in Salisbury, but a tantalizing game nonetheless. Brooklyn Collegiate defeated Lincoln Academy 58-55 in overtime. Lincoln with revenge on their mind here today.
Yeah, Lincoln definitely with revenge on their mind. And after losing to Veritas last night, you have to feel they want to come out and make a statement. And as you see Elias King on your screen right there, he's seen as the best player in this tournament coming in from all the scouting reports. So expect a big game out of him.
Elias King committed to play at Mississippi State next season. He exited the game yesterday against Veritas with some cramping in his calf. Did partake in that three-point competition and appears to be ready to go here today. Conversely, for Brooklyn Collegiate, they're led by a trio of guys, really. Glenn Anderson, Amari Simpkins, and Charles Brown.
Yeah, this Brooklyn Collegiate team, they do it by committee. Coach Connor does a nice job of getting all of them to buy into a system where everybody eats, and that is how he wants to play. They have 6 players that average over 10 points a game, and as you see, Glenn Anderson right there warming up, he is the engine that leads this team.
Brooklyn Collegiate, an undersized team. Lincoln Academy with plenty of height. We'll see how that plays out here today as we take a look at our keys to victory. Brennan Green, what stands out most to you?
When we look at this Lincoln team, it has to be the size difference. They are huge in this game. It seems as though Brooklyn Collegiate is out of height at every position, but somehow they were able to get the win earlier. But when we look at this Lincoln team, it also comes down to Elias King in this matchup. He's going to have a mismatch all day long. And how are they going to be able to control the tempo of this Brooklyn team that likes to get up and down and also use that height?
Let's take a look now at the starting lineups here today, starting with Lincoln Academy. The Bulldogs come into play today at 12-4 on the season. We mentioned it a moment ago. They lost to Veritas Prep here yesterday, 56-48. You mentioned the height. Stevens, 6'1" at the point guard position, but as you move down the list, Sissoko at 6'9", Anselm at 6'11". Pretty stout up front.
Yes, and for this Brooklyn team, it's going to come down to rebounding. How are they going to be able to box out and then go get these boards, because you want to be able to get out and use your speed against a bigger team like this. And as we saw Veritas able to do last night, they got the boards, they got in transition, and that led to easy buckets.
Lincoln Academy, coached by Omar Gonzalez, recently named the head coach of the Bulldogs. He's also the head man for the Puerto Rican national team. And this roster for the Bulldogs, we'll get into it a little bit later. Certainly a lot of international flavor. As for Brooklyn Collegiate, they come in with a record of 8-4 on the season. Let's take a look at their starting lineup and zero in on Amari Simpkins.
Yeah, Amari Simpkins is seen as one of the best players in the city of New York. He averages 16 points a game and 6 rebounds. You don't get that just rolling out of bed, Matt. You have to do something for that, and he's leading this team in scoring.
Malcolm Connor, the head coach for Brooklyn Collegiate. You had a chance, Brandon, to talk with him leading up to this game. What were your biggest takeaways from that conversation?
Man, I love his energy. He brought the energy on the phone, and that's what he brings to this team, because he described New York City basketball as a den of wolves, and you're having to go out and get your supper every single night. So for this Brooklyn team, they come out hungry, and they come out ready to fight.
Two teams huddled up across the way from us. Brooklyn Collegiate in those burgundy uniforms. And for the Lincoln Academy Bulldogs, they come out in those same black uniforms we saw with them last night. White lettering, and they appear ready to go, making their way onto the floor. Malcolm Connor, you mentioned it, in his 5th season, previously was the JV coach and worked his way up, but he has the pedigree. Played overseas in Chile, Mexico, Italy for 7 years of his career after his playing days in the States, and he said that this team might be the best in his tenure at Brooklyn Collegiate.
Yeah, he built this program from the bottom up. He said that coming into New York City, you know it's hard to get players to come to particular schools, and what he had to do was start recruiting early, and once he got these kids in, show them that you love them, show them that you care about them, and they're going to do great things for you.
Amari Simpkins to jump center with Mulai Sissoko. And we are just about ready to begin the final game 8 here on the network. It's been a lot of fun, and we are not quite over yet. Should be a really interesting game. Again, a rematch from a season ago. That matchup was played up at Brooklyn Collegiate in a tournament they host known as the Gotham Hoop Showcase. Here's Mikhail Stevens with it. 1-3-1 zone shown by Brooklyn Collegiate. Stevens wants the screen. Bounce pass to the corner. King the triple. Off the mark. Gets his own miss, however. Dumps it down low. And a bank shot goes for Anselm.
And that's what you want if you are Lincoln Academy, is get the ball inside. Even though Elias King missed that jump shot, it's a wide open corner three. And as we saw him in a three-point contest last night, he can surely knock that down.
Brown gives it up to Johnson. They swing it around the perimeter. Pass intercepted. Stevens with it. Good handles, and he'll leave for the trailer. This is King, able to get the roll.
And that's what Stevens does so well. He is a true point guard for this team, and being able to find the trailer right there, beautiful basketball.
Brown gave up his dribble. Three-pointer, Anderson. That's off the mark, and Stevens for a guard, Brandon, rebounds especially well.
Yeah, you have to love his game. He's truly just a team player. As you see the air pass right there by King, but getting back to Stevens, he really controls his team in every facet of the game, being able to call the defensive signals, and then on offense, he's more of that calming presence for them.
With King out yesterday, it was Stevens really shouldering the load. 18 points out of the team's 48 in the 56-48 loss to Veritas. Pinzone with it right wing. Gets it into Sissoko. Right back to the paint, Anselm. And a 3-second violation. That's the first time we've seen that in this tournament. If there's a team that is going to be whistled for that infraction, it's probably going to be this one.
Yeah, because you have to get that position inside. And right there as a big man, you have to keep the ball high. Don't bring it down low so these little guards can get it.
Speaking of little guards, Glenn Anderson, a 5'9 senior, matched up against a lot of height today. Simpkins, drive and dish. Brown now with it. Simpkins left wing, back up top, skip pass comes to Johnson. Johnson, deep three, he cans it.
That's what you want to see early from this Brooklyn team, is how they're going to be able to hit that outside shot. You know you can't match them in the paint. You got to beat them in some category, and three-pointers seem like it.
Majesty Johnson, the first bucket for Brooklyn Collegiate. He is offers to Manhattan, Niagara, and Bryant. Into Sissoko. Right back out. Great ball movement early for the Bulldogs. Sissoko from the free throw line ducks under and finishes.
And as a big man, it's just one dribble and get to that lane. Get to that left hand, right hand. That's going to be there for them.
Anderson, nifty move down the lane. Hoop and harm.
And that's what Glenn Anderson brings to the game, that change of pace, being able to go from 0 to 60 in what seems like one step mat, and then the beautiful spin move and the kiss off the glass. That's probably one of the prettiest moves we've seen here at this tournament.
Boy, we talked about the athleticism and the quickness of Bird yesterday on Newman Goretti. That move by Anderson might have been the quickest we've seen all tournament, unable to complete the three-point play. 1 point lead for Lincoln, 5:24 to play here in the opening quarter. Pin zone to King. Triple, got it. And Elias King has an early 5.
And one thing about Elias King is that his jump shot is flat, so in order for that to go in, he has to shoot it perfectly. If he gets his jump shot up just a little bit more, he'll be a more consistent shooter.
Pick and roll. Short jumper in and out from Anderson. And the rebound tipped out of play. It will go to the Bulldogs. Talked about that shot for Elias King. He struggled early with it yesterday. Just 1 of 7 for the floor. But again, a part of that likely had to do with the calf injury that sat him on the bench for most of the second half. Stevens hounded by Anderson. Gives it up to Pinzone and gets it right back. Pinzone lets fly from deep. Bank shot won't fall, and the rebound tracked down by Anderson. Anderson, no numbers, peels back. That's Jalen Anderson for Glenn Anderson, who draws the foul.
You have to love the way that he's attacking right now, not settling for the jump shot. He wants to get them into early foul trouble.
We did not see a lot of the bench from Lincoln Academy yesterday. Cameron McDowell came in, as did Dalen Ridgenaw, but beyond that, not a whole lot. Pretty limited rotation for the Bulldogs.
Matt, if we look at this 1-3-1 zone of Brooklyn Collegiate, it's a smart coaching move because when the rebound goes up, you're already in position to get it. All you have to do is box out the man, and the way that they're set up right now, everybody's at the three-point line.
Now some pressure in the backcourt. Pinzone handles. Sissoko well away from the rim to set the screen. To Anselm, wave off the bucket. He traveled with it.
We've seen that all tournament. You have to put the ball down first. They're not going to allow you to get those 2 steps.
You and I had a chance to talk with one of the officials in this tournament in between games here today, and we brought up that very point. He said it's not a point of emphasis, just a matter of enforcing the rules.
Yeah.
One man's opinion. Anderson to the rim, lays it home.
For Anderson right there, he's doing a great job of playing the angles in this one. As a smaller guard, you have to be able to play those angles and get it away from the bigger defenders.
We invite you to join in on the conversation here on Facebook Watch. Tell us who you think will win, where you're watching from, and who you're rooting for in this one. We will air some of the best comments as we move along. Pass into the front court. Charles Brown lays it back. Jalen Anderson traveling.
Good defense right there from this Lincoln team. Now, they're having a little bit of trouble dealing with the speed of Brooklyn Collegiate, but right now that just takes some getting adjusted to, I mean.
Even at 9, 3:30 to play in the opening quarter, and an easy bucket down the lane for Elias King.
That's too easy. You have to force them to one side or another. You just can't let them have a straight line drive.
So now Lincoln ahead by 2. Anderson going to work. Driving kick. Three-pointer up and good for Johnson. He's got a pair here in the opening quarter.
And that seems to breed Brooklyn's Collegiate's offense early. Glenn Anderson, high pick and roll, and let's see what happens off of that.
So far, the defensive prowess of Brooklyn able to keep the height in check. Stevens, the ball fake, and switch pivot feet.
Great defense by Glenn Anderson right there, being able to move his feet on that one, and he chopped his feet before, too.
Cameron McDowell onto the floor for the first time for Lincoln Academy, wearing number 3. Glenn Anderson, who they call JoJo, going to work. Calling for play number 1.
We have a mismatch right here.
Brown left wing, three-pointer too strong, and the rebound collected by King. Pinzone with it in the front court. Off to King, left wing, pull-up three-pointer, knocks it down. Elias King off to a hot start. He's got 10 with 2:10 to play in the first quarter.
And that's what we wanted to see coming into this game. You knew that he was going to have a mismatch on paper. You want to see him attack that, and he is doing so in this first quarter.
4-star commit had 30 offers before choosing Mississippi State, and a turnover for Brooklyn with 2 minutes to play. King has already eclipsed his game total from yesterday when he had just 8. Sissoko away from the rim. Pin zone. Now McDowell. They get it in. Sissoko quickly back out. McDowell the triple. He connects.
And that's what you want to do if you're Lincoln. You know that you have the advantage inside, so get it down low, and then allow your offense to be based off that.
Majesty trots in with the tough drive to the rim. Draws contact and a call. He'll head to the free throw line. Johnson already with a couple of three-pointers, was held scoreless in the game yesterday. And then we want to give a shout out to Ozzie Hendricks, who's tuned in to watch Lincoln.
And Matt, when we look at King from yesterday, how much of his performance do you think had to do with him playing a future teammate in Iverson Molinar?
To be honest, I think more of it had to do with that calf. We saw him be very passive, I would say, on the perimeter. Did not get to the bucket the way we've seen him do here in the early going, and then exited with that calf injury. But it was certainly, on paper, a great matchup. 2 future teammates there for Ben Howland at Mississippi State. This is King with it here. Looking for the screen. Dumps it into Sissoko. Ball fake and finish.
And that's what you want to see from Sissoko. You know he has the nice soft hand, so Elias King able to fire a rocket pass in there, and with the nice soft touch, lays it right off the glass.
5-point game, a minute to go in the opening quarter. Good vision down low, reverse layup off the mark from Anderson. How about that feed from JoJo?
Yeah, you know that he's able to do it all. He averages 9 assists on the season, and during his sophomore year, he averaged 10 assists, which led all of New York.
He had a triple-double early in the season, and for a 5'9" guard, that's pretty impressive. Rebound-wise, even more so than the assist tally. In zone operating, dribble handoff, right wing. King holds. Now goes to work. King, tough angle, bothered on the release. Sissoko, offensive glass, no good on the putback. And the rebound down low for Anderson.
Brooklyn right now having a little bit of trouble with these screens. They're getting a little bit mixed up in the switching.
Official stop play. Looked like one of them signaled technical foul, but I didn't see against who. And now they will get together.
Coach Connor seems in disbelief about the call right now.
We're going to get technical free throws, so it must have been something said from the Brooklyn Collegiate bench. Elias King will take the technical free throws, and he's good on the first.
As you see, he gives his teammates a little bit of high fives there right after the free throw.
2 for 2 and the ball back. Kings got 12 in the opening quarter. Pin zone cut off. Shot clock is off. 17 seconds to play in the quarter. They dump it inside. Anselm can't get the roll. And traveling violation on the rebound. Anderson went to the floor and held on to the basketball.
I like the mix-up on defense from this Brooklyn Collegiate team, but go back to that 1-3-1 zone. That's what is being so effective and where you got the most stops. This man-to-man, you're having trouble guarding the size.
Could not agree more with that. Certainly felt like they had the Bulldogs out of their rhythm in the early stages. Tip pass and a steal. Up ahead to Johnson. Lets it fly at the buzzer, just short off front rim. And it's a 7-point game after the end of the first quarter. Lincoln Academy 21, Brooklyn Collegiate 14. Second quarter on the other side of the break, and when we come back, we'll take a look at some of the best performances in the tournament. That's next. You're watching NFHS Network Hoops live on Facebook Watch.
The NFHS Learning Center is the leader in online education for the interscholastic community. At NFHSLearn.com, you can find over 60 courses for coaches, administrators, officials, parents, students, and performing arts programs, including over 25 free courses such as concussion in sports, heat illness prevention, sudden cardiac arrest, and protecting students from abuse. For more information, visit the NFHS Learning Center.
Matt President welcoming you back to Salisbury. Brandon Green alongside, and we take a look at some of the top performances in this Governor's Challenge. We saw Iverson Molinar a couple of times, including last night with the 26 points in the win against Legacy. The tournament started with that guy on the left right there, Jawan Garrett, 27 in a game against Liberty Heights. How about Tommy Thomas last night? 39 points, almost hit 40.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of great players in this one. And as we see, Elias King might make a name for himself and be on that graphic.
He's on his way there. 12 points in the opening quarter to lead all scorers as Brown was called for traveling. Talked about the zone, Brandon, at the end of that quarter. Looks like it's now a 2-1-2.
Yeah, you have to keep switching it up, but you cannot give up this corner three.
And King will make you pay. He's now got 15.
And, Matt, he seems to be in a better rhythm tonight. I don't know if yesterday was a little bit of jet lag or what was going on with him, but right now it seems like he just found his flow.
Well, I don't want to overstate what may have been with his calf, but if that was the injury, getting lift on your shot and getting good arc when you don't have your legs certainly is a challenge.
Yeah, for him right now, 4 of 6 from the field before we had that shot right there, so that would make him 5 of 7, 3 of 3 from 3, and he seems as though he's found that rhythm that he was desperately searching for yesterday.
How about that rebounding margin in the early going? 7-2 in favor of Lincoln, and that's that height disparity we talked about.
It's going to be what dooms this Brooklyn team in this game if they cannot at least make that margin a little bit closer.
2 to shoot. Not sure they see it. And Brown unable to get the shot off in time. I think Anderson would have been better served to take that shot instead of passing.
Yeah, what you want to see right now before this game truly gets out of hand, it's already at 10 points. You need to see Anderson attacking more like he did in the first quarter.
Brentner Mutombo onto the floor. This is McDowell driving, and that was in the cylinder. That's the call. Basket counts.
And it seems as though this Lincoln team is breaking that press a little bit too easy. It's 1-2 passes, and now it is easy layups. We saw them press King before, and he drove straight down Main Street.
Jalen Ridge now also into the game for Lincoln Academy. This Brooklyn team, conversely, doesn't go very deep with their subs, really just a 6-man rotation. King up top with it. Cale Stevens, right wing.
Back to the 1-3-1 zone.
Stevens driving, lays it in. Pretty easy on that take.
Yeah, the rotation was supposed to be there, but he was too concerned about the big man getting on the boards with the easy layup.
Anderson left wing. Watched by Stevens. Great extra pass. Simpkins didn't want the shot. Instead, he goes to the hole. Put back up and in.
But you see right there, it's all based off Glenn Anderson being able to get into the paint, and then he's your best decision maker. Let him go out and make decisions.
Fans, join in the conversation with us here on Facebook Watch. Let us know where you're watching from, who you're rooting for, and we will air the comments as we move along here in the action. Looks like the call there was overturned. It will be Lincoln Academy ball.
But you have to like
Jalen Caruth. Sorry, Brendan. Jalen Caruth coming onto the floor for the first time. This guy's described as a dead-eye shooter. Watch for him from behind the arc, number 23 in black.
Yes, Matt, and what I was about to say was you got to like this Brooklyn team. They have a lot of fight in them. It's just right now that height is something that they can't really deal with this Lincoln team.
Ridgenall off the inbound. 15 to shoot. Mutombo up top. Stevens around the screen, and he carried it, a double dribble.
A little bit of indecision from Stevens yesterday. We saw him yesterday be able to hit that shot when the defender goes under the screen. It looks like he wanted that, but then defense closed in a little bit too fast.
Yesterday, Stevens relied much more so as a scoring option, poured in 18. Has just 2 today, but has facilitated nicely. Anderson, too strong on the 3, and Mutombo rips down the rebound. Stevens driving dish. Ridgenall has his entry pass tipped away.
That was Mutombo calling for it down low. You have to think that these Lincoln big men, they really want the ball in this one because they know that they have an advantage in the height department.
Stevens to inbound. Gets it up top, McDowell. Back to Stevens. 12 to shoot. Mutombo comes with the screen. Stevens gets the switch. Dishes inside to the wrong team. Turned it over. Here comes Anderson. Burst of speed down the lane, and he draws the foul.
And that's what you got to like about Anderson. He reminds me a lot of Allen Iverson, how he has just no fear of going in the basket and taking contact from these bigger defenders.
We'd like to say hi to Elisa King checking in from Georgia. Watching Elias play here tonight. He's had a good one thus far, 15 points. Anderson to inbound. Leo McClawson into the game, received the pass and drew the contact.
And that's what you got to like about this Brooklyn team, is that they are attacking the middle of this 2-3 zone.
Haven't seen a whole lot of aggressiveness so far from Amari Simpkins, a guy who averages 16 points per game this season. Their leading scorer, but they haven't really been able to create for him yet offensively.
Yeah, and that has a lot to do with this 2-3 zone that Lincoln is playing, and with their length. You got to rely on the guards to get penetration.
Anderson with King on him. Deep three from Johnson. Off the mark that time. He hit two earlier and a foul on the rebound. And looks like that will go against Jalen Anderson.
And if you're Coach Connor, you can't like that shot right now. You are getting anything that you want when you drive the basketball, so that should be your emphasis, is to get the ball into the middle and just create off that.
Not just that, but also the foul trouble that can come with it. 27-16, an 11-point lead with just over 4 minutes to play here in the first half. King gets the switch. Dumps it to Mutombo, who draws the foul.
Brooklyn Collegiate going back to that man-to-man. It was a nice rotation, but it's just that height again, Matt. That's what we've been seeing this whole first half. You throw the ball high, you keep the ball high. Either they're going to foul you or you're going to get an easy bucket.
And not just the height, but it looks like, especially on that play, as soon as you get the pick and roll, the defense isn't quite set, so they're not able to guard as effectively against the taller player as they were when they're set up at the beginning of the play.
Yeah, because Brooklyn's trying to hedge the screens on every play and just get back to the bigger guys, because you don't want Glenn Anderson guarding a big man.
Turnover on the inbound. Here comes Brooklyn Collegiate back the other way. Down the lane went McClawson, and foul on the rebound. Betty Duperoy checking in.
How about this matchup, Matt? You got Anderson guarding King.
Tough assignment for the small guard, but he does well, poking it away.
And if you're Elias on that one, when you have a smaller defender on you, I want to see him go to the post in that one. You're not going to beat him off the dribble.
I was thinking the same thing. Either give it up and repost, or even back him down from outside and force another defender to come his way. Timeout on the floor, and Brandon, you had a chance to talk with Malcolm Connor in the week leading up to this tournament, and one of the things that stood out to me most about that conversation is the way his team competes as a public school and the ways in which they're set behind a lot of these prep schools, not just in terms of recruiting, but also resources as they come our way from Brooklyn.
Yeah, Coach Connor wanted to make it very clear to me that they do not recruit. These players come here on their own free will, and that they are zoned for this school. And when you're coaching players like that, especially in a New York City where it's just stiff competition, and it just all comes down to coaching. As you see, they are extremely well coached, but in this one it seems like it's coming down to more of God-given ability.
Rafael Pinzone on the bench receiving some attention. Right shoe is off. Mutombo underneath. Unable to get a good look at the rim, and back the other way, McClawson straight down the lane, draws the foul.
And that's where we're seeing Brooklyn at their best in this game, is when they're able to get a stop and then get out in transition.
So McClawson to the free throw line. 6'3" junior had a pair of points in the loss to Legacy yesterday. First free throw up and good. It was a 67-43 loss to Legacy. Anderson that would be Glenn Anderson, led the way with 16 points, 4 assists, and 4 steals. But if you take a look at the box score, the game was decided from behind the arc, where Brooklyn Collegiate struggled, going just 1 of 25.
Wow. And that's another team in Legacy that we were able to see that has a lot of height as well.
King stops and pops. No good. Offensive rebound knocked out of bounds. It looked like a flop there from Jalen Anderson, if we're being candid. .306 to play, first half, 10-point margin. King to inbound. Lobs it up. Ridgenall, no good on the first attempt. Mutombo can't put it down on the second. Glenn Anderson back the other way, looking to trim it back to single digits. Jalen Anderson goes down on the screen, no call. Now Glenn Anderson, drive and dish. Into the paint, scoop shot, no good from Johnson. And back come the Bulldogs.
The height of King affected that shot.
Skip pass right wing, three-pointer up and good. That's Jalen Caruth, the talented freshman, and I was told by Courtney Goldwire, Director of Basketball Operations for the Bulldogs, remember that name. High praise for a guy who's only in his first year with the program.
And that's Glenn Anderson's fault on that one. You sat there and you looked at him shoot that shot, and if you're Coach Connor, you can't like that.
Anderson with it. Down 13. Jalen Anderson now. Jab step. Shot clock at 15. Down the lane, drive and dish. McClawson. Back out Anderson. Pump fake, long two, contested, air ball out of play.
Yeah, and for Anderson, it was a nice idea getting the defender up, but once you draw those two, just kick it back out, you're going to have an easy shot for your teammate.
Caruth again. Got all three. No, the other official comes in and overrules, says the foot was on the line. Nevertheless, 5 points in the last 2 possessions for Jalen Caruth.
That's a nice job by King right there, keeping his head up and being able to find his teammate down the court.
Timeout taken. We'll take a closer look at Jalen Caruth. We told you he was a dead-eye shooter and also praised for the swagger that he brings to the table, something that really gives his team a bolt of confidence. They think he's one of the best top freshmen in the country. We haven't seen him play a whole lot in this tournament, but off the bench right there, making an instant impact. His dad, Rashad, was a McDonald's All-American at Oak Hill. Initially went to Kentucky before transferring to Southern Miss. Actually was coached in his youth by Courtney Goldwire, who I mentioned, now the basketball operations guy for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, and for a young player like Caruth, on a big stage like this, it has to feel good to just hit a couple shots. And when you mention that he's just a freshman, that's getting your confidence up in big games like this, especially when you have someone like King to lean on.
He averages 11.8 points per game, shoots it at 50% from behind the arc. Certainly a valuable guy off the bench in what is a very strong starting five. .32-17, second quarter, 2:02 to play. Brooklyn Collegiate will bring the ball up court. They've played just 6 players so far in the game, but now bring one more in. That's Caudidas Morris, number 34, who's checked in. McClawson now, as they try to get some more size on the floor. Anderson drive and dish. Baseline to baseline. Corner 3, no good. And a long rebound. That looks to be a breakout. Great job by Anderson to get back on D. Back the other way. King. He is money.
He is on fire right now. He came out wanting to make a statement, and he's making that statement right now, Matt.
18 in the first half. He had 12 in the opening quarter. Simpkins gave it up again. Anderson has it blocked away. Loose ball. Anderson unable to get the shot to go. I think he kind of lost his bearings, but Simpkins able to get his first points on the loose ball.
Yeah, Anderson was trying to get the foul on that one instead of just going up and making the shot.
McDowell, finger roll off back iron. Tipped out towards center court. King. And one official had a foul, the other had a jump ball. Lisa Green checking in from Waldorf, Maryland. Any relation, Brandon?
Yeah, that's my mom right there. Shout out to my mom for just watching her son just do his thing.
Making her proud right here to my left. Elias King to inbound. Up top, McDowell. Three-pointer again. How about Jalen Caruth?
That's been money for this Lincoln team so far. That corner three, and whether it's Elias or Caruth, it's been money for either of them.
Shot clock and game clock just about even. McClawson down the lane into traffic, and he draws the foul. Not a shooting foul as he went to pass. It'll be an inbound, and the shot clock will be turned off with 11 seconds to play. I guess they did call it a shooting foul unless, okay, it was the 7th-team foul, so it's a 1-and-1 free throw. No good on the front end. King up ahead. And McDowell wasn't ready for it, out of play with 8 seconds left.
This Brooklyn team just seems tired right now. We mentioned that 6-man rotation.
Anderson with 5. Anderson driving. Anderson hangs, can't hit. Ridgenall, the heave. Almost made it off front rim. And at the end of the first half, Lincoln Academy leading Brooklyn Collegiate 37-19. The height has widened the margin. Also the three-point shooting paying dividends.
Yes, especially for Elias King and Caruth. They are lighting this team up from 3, but it's the size of this Lincoln team that has them that big lead right now.
We'll get into the stats when we return. Again, your score at the break, 37-19, Lincoln Academy with the lead. You're watching NFHS Network Hoops live on Facebook Watch.
The NFHS Learning Center is the leader in online education for the interscholastic community. At NFHSLearn.com, you can find over 60 courses for coaches, administrators, officials, parents, students, and performing arts programs, including over 25 free courses such as concussion in sports, heat illness prevention, sudden cardiac arrest, and protecting students from abuse. For more information, visit the NFHS Learning Center.
Halftime in Salisbury. Again, Lincoln Academy out to a commanding lead over Brooklyn Collegiate, led by Elias King and the 4-star Mississippi State recruit, really showing what he can do here, Brandon.
Yeah, we didn't see too good of a showing from him last night, but you mentioned that calf injury. It seems like that calf is fine. He's getting that lift on his jump shot. He's able to get down Main Street, create for his team. You're seeing the entire package from Elias King, which made him such a highly touted recruit.
And you're seeing the entire package from this Lincoln Academy team as a whole. I think the guy that really exemplifies that is Cale Stevens. Last night, forced into more of a scoring role, pours in 18. Tonight, he's a facilitator and getting it done.
Yeah, and I think that's more his natural role for this team, especially when you have a shooter like Caruth, Elias King, and being able to get them the ball in positions that they're able to score, and that's what he does best.
Jalen Caruth coming off the bench, and the freshman is dead eye from distance. We'll come back and take a look at the stats when we return. You're watching NFHS Network Hoops live on Facebook Watch.
NFHS Learning Center is the leader in online education for the interscholastic community. At NFHSLearn.com, you can find over 60 courses for coaches, administrators, officials, parents, students, and performing arts programs, including over 25 free courses such as concussion in sports, heat illness prevention, sudden cardiac arrest, and protecting students from abuse. For more information, visit the NFHS Learning Center.
Halftime in Salisbury as we take a look at some of the first half numbers. Lincoln Academy with a 37-19 lead. Elias King leading the way with 18 points. As we told you, Brandon Green, what stood out most to you in the first half?
If we could circle something on that screen right now, it has to be the rebounds. 21-7. Lincoln Academy is dominating the boards, and then the play of Elias King has opened up everything from this team, because when you have a player that great and he gets it going like that, you have to force the defense to guard him, and he's been able to find everybody else.
If you look at some of the extended numbers, one thing that really hits me is bench points, 11-1 in favor of Lincoln. And the bench for Brooklyn Collegiate played just 8 minutes in the first half. You have to wonder how their depth is going to become a factor as this game moves along.
Yeah, especially in day 4 of this tournament for this Brooklyn Collegiate team. It seems like a bit of tired legs. They're settling for jump shots. We saw them in that first quarter get into the paint. That's when they were having success. But then once fatigue sets in, you start taking the easy route.
See Elias King there leading the way with 18 points. His numbers individually, 7 of 10 shooting, 2 of 3 from three-point range, perfect 2 of 2 at the free throw line. He also has 8 rebounds, nearing a double-double.
And what you want to see from Elias King is a number 1 turnover. That's what you want to see, because he has the ball in his hands a lot. He's the decision maker for this team.
We told you he only had 8 yesterday in a game in which he played sparingly with that calf injury, but the game before against Abraham Lincoln, he poured in 24 points. He's certainly a guy who has lived up to the hype here today. And again, if you were not with us earlier, King, a 4-star Mississippi State commit, great shooter who gets his own shots, and he's going to be big time as a freshman next year for Ben Howland.
Yes, he surely is. And the one thing that impresses you the most about Elias King is the way that he's able to pace himself in this game. It doesn't seem like he's overexerting himself. It seems like he's just playing his game at his pace.
So often it's said that star players find a way of slowing the game down, and you talked about it in the way he releases the shot, so smooth, nothing overexerted. Just it seems like it's very comfortable for him out there.
Yeah, and when you're that good, everything seems easy, but it's not. This is him, the hours that he puts in the gym, and you see his final display of his work here.
Meanwhile, on the other side of things, as we take a look at the coaching staff for Brooklyn Collegiate, and they're trying to figure out what they can do to create some matchups. Glenn Anderson really stood out to me with his quickness, his ability to get inside and draw contact, and certainly no fear going in against defenders a foot taller than he.
Exactly. Glenn Anderson, he reminds me a lot of Allen Iverson, the way he's able to get into the cup, take that contact. But for this Brooklyn team, it wasn't that they played bad. They only had 4 turnovers, and they're winning the turnover battle in this one. It's just coming down to the rebound, and that's what one of our keys to the game is, finishing those defensive possessions. And when they were able to finish, they got in transition, and that's when they got their easy buckets.
Malcolm Connor trying to continue a program and help guys play at the next level. He said when talking with us in the midweek that there's so many guys who are talented that don't find a way to get there, and he wants to make sure that there's a correct culture, that guys go about things the right way, and that it pays off for his guys, because he knows that so many of them do have the talent. He wants to make sure they realize and have success.
And if you're Coach Connor, this is an important moment for your team. How are you going to come out and start the third quarter? Because you want to come out, you want to see your team fight. You don't want to see your team give up. And that speaks to your point about changing the culture of this Brooklyn Collegiate team and being that team that are a bunch of dogs and ready to go out and play some basketball.
Underway here in the second half, Brooklyn Collegiate with the ball first. They move from right to left. Swinging the ball around the perimeter. Three-pointer on the way, off the mark that time. The other way, Cale Stevens. Pressured heavily by Jalen Anderson, now he'll back away. 37-19, just underway, second half. Sissoko turned it over on the cutter. Back the other way, Anderson. Scoop pass left wing, Johnson the triple, too strong. And the rebound for Cale Stevens.
That's what you want if you're Brooklyn right there. He may have missed the shot, but still, great shot.
McDowell steps in and missed it badly off the side of the backboard. Numbers the other way. Jalen Anderson, Euro step, and gets the roll.
There he caught King leaning to one side, and that's when the Euro step is most effective. You saw him be able to create that space and just give it a little bit of English to get inside the rim.
Back to the zone, defensively for Brooklyn Collegiate. Anselm up top. High low to Sissoko. Tried to go to work and lost it in the process. Ball tipped out of play. They were looking to get it to McClawson up ahead.
And if you're Sissoko on that one, when you get 2 feet inside the paint, there's no need to dribble. Just go over the right or the left shoulder. We were talking off camera earlier, Matt, and that's one of the most effective moves for a big guy because it's unguardable.
McClawson, baseline jumper off the mark. Rebound tipped around, still loose. And out of play, it will go to the Bulldogs.
And if you're Coach Connor right now for Brooklyn Collegiate, you have to like the way your team has come out and fought in the first 2 minutes of this third quarter.
Stevens in between the circles with it, 37-21, his team in front. Elias King calling for it and getting it near midcourt. McDowell, corner triple. Nothing but net.
Looks like Brooklyn Collegiate is playing a boxing one right now to try to stop Elias King, but he does the right job, gets it to the other players, and just let your teammates create.
We've seen a lot of different looks so far for Coach Connor. Step back 3 on the way, no good from McClawson. 1-3-1, the man, and now the box in one, and Anselm left alone underneath.
That's just too easy. You have to be able to fill in on the zone and have your teammates back.
Johnson lost it on the drive, traveling the call. Sissoko rolled over, trying to shovel it off.
Still a great hustle by Sissoko right there, getting his knees a little scraped up on that play, but it's all worth it for that ball.
Jalen Anderson to inbound in front of his own bench. Up top, Glenn Anderson. Swings near side, Charles Brown. Step back, contested, long 2, an air ball. McClawson cleaning up the glass.
It looked like everybody stopped on that play because they heard the whistle from the other court, and that's been a challenge for most of these teams, is knowing which whistle is that court and which whistle is yours.
The final game in the girls' bracket taking place across the way. Again, this tournament the largest in high school basketball, 120 teams. It began as 4 in its inception back in 1981. Take from Stevens off the glass, no good. Jalen Anderson into the front court. To Glenn Anderson now. Stevens with the pickoff. Stevens to the rack. And it's stripped away. Nice play defensively by Majesty Johnson.
Yeah, you mentioned the defense by Stevens right there, and that's what we saw him doing all yesterday, being able to get those steals and get out into transition.
Interesting that Lincoln Academy switched to his own right there. McDowell wide open on the inbound. Defense closes quickly. Down low, Anselm has it knocked away on his way up. He was looking to slam that one down hard.
Yeah, Anselm had some evil intentions for that rim right there. He just lost the ball on that. It has to be a foul.
It was. And Anselm headed to the line. Anselm referred to as a true 5, but he can also play the stretch 4, and that's where we've seen him most of the time, with Sissoko also on the floor as he gets the roll on the first free throw.
And a fun fact about Anselm, he is a real soccer fan. One of his favorite players is Lionel Messi.
Anselm originally from Nigeria, and many of these other players also hail from the African continent. They have Mali, Nigeria, Senegal all represented, Puerto Rico as well, with Rafael Pinzon, who has not returned here in the second half. We saw him with his ankle being tended to in the first half. Right wing, three-pointer, got it. That's Anderson, the triple. Anderson now with 7 in the game.
I know that Brooklyn was able to hit the 3 right there, but it seems like this Brooklyn team is tired. A lot of their shots are short.
Fans, the place for high school sports is right here. The NFHS Network is your place for live regular season and championship action in over 40 different states. Also bringing you tournaments like these. Glad you've been with us all Governor's Classic long. Governor's Challenge being played in every season since it began in 1981. Y-High coach Butch Waller, who is still coaching at age 82. We saw him earlier this afternoon with his team in action. He wanted his Wicomico High School squad to have a little bit more competition and called on some coaches he knew in the D.C. area. The legendary Morgan Wooten of DeMatha and Joe Gallagher of St. John's, and the tournament has continued to grow ever since.
Just to think that it started with 2 teams and now it's over 120 teams. You had to think when they first started, they didn't think it was going to blow up like this.
Johnson off the mark from 3. He had a couple in the early going, has not had much luck since. McClawson, right place, right time, able to finish.
That's what you like about this Brooklyn team, that they are not going to give up. They're still going to give you 110% effort.
Down by 18, third quarter, 3:09 to play. Sissoko has it stripped away. McLaughlin still down on the floor. Anderson, lefty finish, good touch off the glass.
And that's what you like from Anderson. The undersized player on that just steals it away from him.
Back the other way, McDowell able to get it to go with the right hand. And talk about Sissoko for a moment on the other end. It's looked like he's actually had a little bit of trouble in this game adjusting to smaller defenders against him.
Yeah, and that's just a learning point for him, being able to just go up over. You don't really need dribbles in this game.
Anselm tied up down low. He induces the foul. Nice feed on the no-look from Elias King.
Anselm is saying, get me the ball in this half. Elias, you had your fun in the first half. Now it's time for me to get my fill.
King with 18 at the break, looking for more. Anselm now, long 2, banks it home.
Now,
Anselm has 8.
I just have to ask, did he call glass on that one, Matt?
You'll have to ask him personally. The best response I've heard of that question was Paul Pierce. I called game. Anderson connecting. He's got 10 now. 17-point margin. Stevens surveys. Shot clock now down to 15.
This boxing one is really effective against Elias King, but for the rest of this team, they're really getting whatever they want. Brooklyn Collegiate is able to get the stop right there, but still, I don't know how much more effective it is.
Baseline drive and dish. McClawson, wraparound pass, finds its way through between traffic. Johnson will peel back out. Anderson left the three-pointer short, and here comes King in transition. Great job by Glenn Anderson to get back. King down the lane, adjusts the shot, and the putback goes. I heard the whistle from the other court, thought a foul was called, but instead it's Sissoko with the second chance bucket.
That's a great job by Sissoko right there, playing through the whistle.
Timeout taken now by Brooklyn Collegiate. We've seen Malcolm Connor switch up the defense. You talked about how effective the boxing one has been so far, but how can he create some offense for his team to get back into it?
I think right now you have to go back to that high screen roll. I know that they're playing a zone, but if you're able to pick one of those top of the 2-3 zone, I think that you'll be able to create more off that, or at least go high-low action. Be able to get the ball into the high post, and then once the ball gets into the high post, you suck in the zone, and then the three-pointers are open.
As you see on your screen, this game a rematch from an absolute thriller a year ago. Brooklyn Collegiate hosted the Gotham Hoop Showcase. They faced off with Lincoln Academy, and they won it on a buzzer beater in overtime at 58-55. And you told me, Malcolm Connor said he thought Lincoln Academy put something in to get a rematch here in this tournament.
Yeah, especially when you lose like that. You have to think that they wanted a little bit of revenge, and it seems like they're imposing their will extremely right now.
I'm sure the tournament was happy to have the rematch here tonight. So far, it's gone Lincoln's way, 52-33, as we wind down play in the third quarter. Glenn Anderson, drive and dish. Jalen the triple. No good that time, and the weak side board for King. Up ahead, Stevens lobs it up, and off the glass, it's good for Anselm.
And that's what Stevens is able to do, and that's a perfect fast break right there. The ball barely touched the floor.
And you talked about that in terms of Sissoko, that this team doesn't really need to put the ball on the deck.
Because that's the risk you run when you have smaller defenders, is they are lower to the ground, and the ball has to touch the ground for you to dribble.
Tough shot doesn't go. Second chance effort not there for Charles Brown. He and Simpkins have really been held in check. Foul in transition before the shot. Simpkins on the season averaging 16 points per game. Brown with 11. So far in this game, they've combined for just 2. Steal there for Johnson. Up ahead, Simpkins. He's got his first bucket of the game.
And that's where Simpkins is really effective. We haven't been able to see him do that a lot in this game, and that's just getting out in transition.
Back the other way, King with the answer. So smooth with that mid-range J. 4 seconds to play. Anderson gives it up. Jalen Anderson fires. It's no good. 3 quarters are in the books from Salisbury. And Lincoln has a commanding lead, 56-35. Final quarter of action when we return. You're watching NFHS Network Hoops live on Facebook Watch.
The NFHS Learning Center is the leader in online education for the interscholastic community. At NFHSLearn.com, you can find over 60 courses for coaches, administrators, officials, parents, students, and performing arts programs, including over 25 free courses such as concussion in sports, heat illness prevention, sudden cardiac arrest, and protecting students from abuse. For more information, visit the NFHS Learning Center.
Back here in Salisbury, Governor Challenge, fourth quarter. Taking a look at the map of teams here in the tournament. The Bulldog Lincoln Academy there in Georgia, making the trip up from Suwannee, and Brooklyn Collegiate down from Brooklyn, New York. Glad to have you with us tonight along with Brandon Green. I'm Matt Present. Good hands there defensively by Charles Brown to poke it out of play.
And that's a name that we haven't heard a lot in this one either. He was the MVP of the Snowball Classic earlier this season.
Elias King, the game's leading scorer to inbound. Up top, head fake. McDowell, lefty touch.
Nice patience right there by McDowell.
He's got 8 points. Back the other way. Quick finish from Simpkins. He's now got 6 in the game and able to convert in transition. Sissoko down the lane and again gets in trouble putting the ball on the floor.
And if you're Sissoko right there, it was a nice move to do the two-handed power dribble, but no need for that extra step. You don't have to create that much space in this one. Just go up over him.
A 21-point lead now for Lincoln Academy with Glenn Anderson in the front court. They get the switch. Brown left open. Steps in, unable to knock it down, and foul called on the rebound as Simpkins came away with it.
It seems Simpkins woke up a little bit too late in this one. Didn't hear much of him in the first half, but now in the second half seems to have opened his eyes.
Timeout on the floor. And let's take one more look at that map that we had up a moment ago. We talked about the growth of this tournament. It's the biggest in high school basketball. 120 teams have come here to Salisbury, and Veritas all alone there in California. The very first team from the state of California to make the trip. And if you were not with us earlier today, we got a chance to see Father Henry Carr down from Toronto, Canada. This tournament has become so expansive. It started as a regional tournament between Delaware and the DMV, and boy, has it grown.
Yeah, boy, has it grown indeed, and that's just because of how well-run this tournament is. You get a lot of feedback from coaches saying that this is one of the best well-run tournaments, and when you have 120 teams, it's hard to make every single team feel special. And for St. Andrew, Coach Michael Hart said they keep coming back, and they're from Rhode Island. They keep coming back because this tournament is ran so well.
And even talking to some of the less touted schools, we're broadcasting the showcase portion of the event, but there's also 17 brackets all the way down from the most skilled teams regionally to even some of the lesser skilled teams. And those coaches say they get treated like they're part of the showcase. It's really impressive and a job well done by this crew in Salisbury. Anderson with it in the corner. Pass down the lane, tough to handle, and a whistle and a timeout. Timeout called by Malcolm Connor to preserve possession. We mentioned that Brooklyn Collegiate is a public school, I should say. They're in New York. They don't recruit, and one of the caveats there for Connor is that he's on staff as a teacher. He's a special educator, 37 years old, and different coaches all have different stories, but for him it's more traditional in terms of being in the classroom.
Yeah, for him in this one, he's more of a player's coach. He understands the players, and that's what his players love about him is that he can relate to them, especially in that New York City. It's a dog-eat environment in there. We can relate to that being in the DMV and it being so basketball heavy.
Every team taken care of, like you said, every team with a banner here in the rafters at the Wicomico Youth and Civic Center. Governor's Challenge 2018. Thanks so much for joining us here on Facebook Watch. Down low to Brown. Draws the foul before the shot block from Sissoko.
Yeah, Sissoko on that one thought he had a block, but he did use a little bit of his body on that one.
Matt Present, Brandon Green with you here on the NFHS Network. You're taking in the action live from our vantage point, perched up here in the corner. It's a great view. We can see both courts. It's been fun watching the game from the bird's eye view. Brown at the free throw line. Makes both. His first points of the game coming here in the final quarter. Full court pressure, broken easily. King unable to get the shot to go, tipped out of play. And last touch by Brooklyn Collegiate.
And that's when you need the left hand on that one. He went off the wrong foot already, so go ahead and lay it up with the left hand. You're 6'7", you're already right there.
King to inbound. 20 in the game. Mutombo had a glance off his hands. He stays with it. Mutombo, baseline drive, unable to get the dunk to go. Long two, off the mark that time from Johnson. Loose in the corner, kept alive. This is Brown, trying to feed one through, and it's kicked by Sissoko.
If you took the logos off both of these teams right now and you took away the score, you would think that it was a 5-point game either way, just based off the way that they are playing in this one.
Fans, thanks so much for watching today, and please continue to join in the conversation. Comment below with your pick for the game MVP. Once again, just comment on the Facebook feed with who you think deserves the recognition. Sissoko claiming the rebound. He'll bring it up the court himself. 58-39. Just over 6 minutes to play. McDowell for three. In and out. Sissoko, put back slam.
And that's what we've been wanting to see from him. Do not put the ball on the floor. Keep it up high and finish high. And he almost brought down the rim on that one, Matt.
An even 60 now for Lincoln. Johnson left wing. Up top, Brown. They swing it around. Far side. Three-pointer no good from Simpkins. And the rebound controlled by the Bulldogs. Stevens tried to thread the pass down low. It's picked off. And Simpkins carried it in transition.
Yeah, it looked like he wanted his teammate on the ring. Had Anderson on one side and Anderson on the other side. And I guess he couldn't choose between which Anderson he wanted, Matt.
So the turnover gives it back to the Bulldogs in to Mutombo, and again went up for the flush and got hit hard. Mutombo only a sophomore at 6'10" as he heads to the free throw line. He hails from the Congo, and if you're wondering, he is a distant relative of Dikembe.
And you have to like the raw talent that he has in this one. Not just the size, but he looks natural when he's running, especially with a lot of teenagers when they grow so fast. It seems like they are awkward, but he moves smooth.
A lot of height on this team, a lot of youth, and room for that height to kind of fill into the frame for guys like Mutombo. Sissoko is senior, but they also have Bunakebi, who shined in the dunk contest a night ago. Mutombo draws the defender off his feet and draws the foul.
And that's great patience by Mutombo right there, being able to use that baseline to his advantage. Defense forcing you there. Okay, I'll take it. Use my body. You're going to have to foul me.
Looks like they called it on the floor, so it'll be a baseline inbound coming for Lincoln Academy. Into Sissoko. Lob probably would have worked out better than the bounce pass, a turnover. And all the way to the rim, Johnson, soft touch.
If this Brooklyn team could have did that more in this game, the score would be closer, but they just haven't been able to get out in transition on the backboards.
King around the screen. Cross-court pass. Three-pointer up. Too strong. And back the other way comes Brooklyn Collegiate. McDowell with the pickpocket. Up ahead, King. Muscles his way to the rim and finishes.
And that's what he's able to do so well, as you see him right there, being able to keep the ball high and just move both defenders out of his way.
Johnson, tough take. Put back falls. Jalen Anderson cleaning up the glass.
And there you see the penetration and being able to take advantage of it. When you penetrate, the defense is out of position on the boards.
Back the other way, Stevens, as the game starts to pick up a little tempo, and once again, Mutombo fouled on the shot attempt. Jalen Anderson leading the way for Brooklyn Collegiate with 12, and his 6'4" frame is really the only guy who can match up with the trees on the other side. First one good for Mutombo. Caruth and Ridgenall back on the floor. Sissoko and McDowell to the bench.
And if you're Coach Gonzalez, how long do you leave Elias King out there knowing that he has that calf injury that he was suffering yesterday? How long do you leave him out there?
It is the final game of the tournament. I think it would have to depend on how he's feeling, but he is out there now playing well as Anderson takes it to the hole and draws the contact.
That also leads to the question of nutrition in a tournament like this. A lot of coaches have different styles. Do you burn your players out on day one and then use your bench the rest of the way? Or do you have more of a team concept where a lot of players play a lot of minutes just so on that last day that you're fresh?
Glenn Anderson good on the first free throw. It's definitely not something that in the regular course of your season you have to deal with a whole lot in terms of playing on 4 consecutive days, or for many teams 3 here in the tournament. They play 3 games or even 2. But nevertheless, to play those kind of minutes, if I'm a coach at least, Brandon, it's a chance for me to explore what kind of depth I have.
Exactly. especially with a team like Brooklyn Collegiate that doesn't play a lot of their players. I would have loved to see in this one if Coach Connor just went to his bench and sees what he has.
Mutombo couldn't get the shot to go. Transition opportunity now for Johnson. He'll kick it back. Anderson, the ball fake back to Johnson. Corner three, off the mark. Offensive rebound, tipped away. Ridgenall with it. Up ahead, King. Look out below. King to the basket. Finishes with the right hand.
It just looks too easy out there for Elias King being able to get to the basket and then being able to keep that ball up high.
King had about a foot of height advantage on Glenn Anderson in transition. 6'8" against 5'9". Simpkins all the way to the 10.
And that is what Simpkins can do. One dribble from the three-point line and he's at the rim, Matt.
(67-46) our score with just under 3 minutes left in regulation. Foul committed against Cale Stevens. He'll head to the opposite end of the floor. A bonus situation. He'll shoot the 1-and-1.
And another thing, when I was talking to Coach Connor about his team traveling to Maryland for this one, I asked him about that New York mindset when you're coming into a basketball powerhouse like the DMV. And I said, do you guys want to show out in this one? And he said, of course you want to show out. And especially even when they're down right now, you still want to show that New York is that tough, gritty city and that they're going to fight to the end.
Whose album is New York State of Mind?
Oh, that's nice.
Much more than an album cover, but a mentality that many of these players carry to the tournament. Turnover, McDowell on the break. And he gets stripped away by Anderson. Jalen Anderson has stepped up on this in this game on both ends of the court. And how about that hustle and a fast break opportunity?
Down by 21, you see the heart of your team right now. And right now they might be down, but they're still going to come out and fight. And that bodes well when you get down late in the season.
McDowell cocked it back and had about a 50-pound weight when he went to bring his arm forward. McDowell went down hard as the pass was too tall for him. Certainly not intentional on the undercut, but he'll have free throws. Ninth team foul, 1-and-1 situation.
As McDowell and Anderson exchanged words right there, McDowell didn't like that. Thought that Anderson undercutted him on that one.
Think there was a technical in the mix there. Tough to see, but the whistle was blown. Omar Gonzalez was 15 steps off the bench. And now the referees are going to sort this out. Not what you want to see to end the tournament.
Not at all. You had a great competition the entire tournament. Very few technicals in the games that we have seen, Matt. Both teams have been very respectful of each other. Just come out and finish it, guys. You got about 2:30 left.
Let's take one more look at the top performers in this tournament as the referees get things sorted out. Elias King today with 24 points, having a terrific outing, and he's not the only one. There have been a lot of guys who have showcased their talents at this tournament. Jawan Gary, a four-star commit to Alabama. Chris Ings hit a buzzer beater yesterday to force overtime in what ended up being a triple overtime victory for Newman Goretti. And Tommy Thomas last night, 39 points against Archbishop Carroll.
And we have been so lucky to see a host of players that you see right there, especially Bryson Goodine in our earlier game today.
It appears that there was not a technical foul, but it was just a single free throw. It was missed, but finished off by Ridgenall as there was some confusion on the rebound, but an easy bucket for the Bulldogs. Head fake by Johnson and the step back. Now Anderson open for three, and he buries it. Timeout now taken by Brooklyn Collegiate.
Yeah, I think that exchange woke Anderson up a little bit. It seemed like he was moving in slow motion for most of this second half, and now it seems like he has a fire lit under him.
Anderson now has 11. Malcolm Connor said it's really fun to look back at the entire career of Glenn Anderson and see that maturation process. Again, he now holds offers to Iona, Howard, Bryant, and Stony Brook.
Yeah, he's seen as the leader on this team, and when your leader is undersized, of course you're going to be feisty. We see that a lot in the NBA with players like Chris Paul being the leaders of their team, and they just give you that extra little bit of grit that you need to compete against bigger teams like a Lincoln Academy.
Certainly a mentality that can be contagious. You've seen him play with that chip on his shoulder here today. Willing to go into the lane against guys who are a foot taller as we take a timeout and peer in on the girls' championship on the far side. Riverdale Baptist just hit the three. They're playing against St. Andrews, who we saw earlier on the men's side. That's Jalen Caruth back on the floor, who showcased his outside shot a few times in the first half. Into Ridgenall, they'll give it right back to Stevens. 2:20 to play in the game. Stevens handling, weaving, and finishing.
And this is Stevens' game right now. It looked like he was going through a cone drill on that one, Matt.
It certainly did. We saw the skills competition here a couple of nights ago, and Mutombo called for the goaltend. This Bulldogs team loves to play above the rim, but it can, from time to time, induce plays like that. McDowell cross court, Ridgenall touch pass. Mutombo has it stripped away. And again, the dribbling against smaller defenders comes back to bite the Bulldogs.
And if you're going to dribble, especially if you're Mutombo that close to the basket, it has to be a one power dribble move to make sure that you get that drop step and get the defender on your back.
Johnson, three ball off front rim. Stevens the long rebound. 20-point game, just over a minute and a half to play. Stevens has it taken away from behind from Simpkins. Anderson swings it near side. Blocked away that time by Ridgenall. Caruth will reset up top. McDowell weaving, threw it up. Mutombo wasn't ready. Back to Ridgenall in the lane, puts it home.
Looks like this Lincoln team is having a little bit too much fun right now as they're getting a little bit out of their offense, and Coach Gonzalez can't like that.
Substitution timeout taken. That will allow Goro Niang to get on the floor, and he's not a freshman, but an 8th grader. Already 6'4" out of Senegal. Wearing number 12. Three-pointer on the way, no good. That one off of the hand of Cody DeMorris. Anderson resets. Simpkins connects. Simpkins now with 9.
Nice shot right there by Simpkins, not giving up and still just getting back into his game.
Caruth had an open three. He missed it. Anderson the other way. Checks his rearview mirror. Now sets up the offense. Simpkins again. That time off the mark. Here's Ridgenall. 20 seconds to play. Up ahead, Mutombo. Look out, but he's fouled. He's been looking for that dunk all quarter, and he just can't buy it.
Yeah, needed a little bit more lift on that one, but you have to give it up to this Brooklyn Collegiate team. They're not going to get dunked on as Johnson right there fouls him.
So Mutombo at the free throw line for 2 shots. Good on the first. Second free throw coming for Mutombo. Eyes it, flies it, got it. Gianni Casino into the game for the first time. His three-pointer off the mark and out of play.
And I can't speak more to the fight of this Brooklyn Collegiate team because they were on pace to get blown out by 40 points. But even though it's just 21, the way that they were able to fight makes it feel like that score was a little bit closer.
And I wonder if they're battling some injuries or have some other stuff going on based on a very limited rotation that we saw today. Erlen Ramirez, a guy who's usually their sixth man, sometimes finds the starting rotation, did not appear so far today. Likely won't with 6 ticks left. Desmores, deep 3, off front rim, long rebound. Anderson, it won't count. 75-54, Lincoln Academy carries it throughout, and they're led by 4-star Mississippi State commit Elias King, who had 24 points in the win.
And King was great in this one from the opening tip until the final buzzer. He was just in control the entire time, Matt.
Glenn Anderson, while he finished with 11 points, really impressed me with his toughness, his willingness to get to the rim, and his quickness as well. This is a guy who, once he goes back home to Brooklyn and they get underway, and you talked about it, tough competition, they're going to rely heavily on his poise and his presence on the court.
Yeah, I liked his poise and his presence in this one. He was really under control for the most part. Even in that second half, the game got away. He was still getting the team in his sets and still finding his shot.
Once again, your final score, 75-54. Any other final thoughts, Brandon, takeaways from the tournament as a whole?
I just love the way this tournament was run and the way that the referees, they controlled the game, but they also let the players play and showcase their talent. When you get into tournaments like this, a lot of times it seemed like the referees try to take it over, but in this one they took a step back, and that's when we got to see the Elias Kings of this world take it over.
See Elias King there walking off the court, and I would echo that. Very well-run tournament. A pleasure for us to be a part of it. And James Simmons and company who work on this thing all year, it has to be so gratifying when it pays off and runs as smoothly as it does. We thank him and we thank everyone here for their help and support, and a really successful event. Again, 120 teams, the largest high school showcase in the nation. Truly a fun experience to be a part of.
Exactly. The largest high school tournament in the nation is the Governor's Challenge. One of the best well-run tournaments in the nation is the Governor Challenge, and it was a pleasure for me to call it.
Certainly was. Our thanks to Brandon Green and the rest of the crew here. Matt Present saying so long. We should also give thanks to our executive producer, BJ Kubarulis, and James Simmons, and everyone here at Wicomico's Civic Center. They did a tremendous job putting on this event and running it well and giving us the opportunity to make it look easy. And thank you guys for watching. It's been a lot of fun. 8 games in 4 days, and hopefully we'll get it a chance to do it again a year from now. Until then, Matt Present saying so long and Happy New Year. Enjoy the New Year's festivities and enjoy basketball in 2019. Again, your final in this one, 75-54, Lincoln Academy with the win.